March 16th, 2000, interviewing Estela Gonzalez Chapa for the U.S. Latino and Latino World War II Oral History Project. We're sitting in her living room now in Austin, Texas. Okay, I just want to thank you very much for allowing us to come and interview you today. Um, we'll start off with you telling me a little bit about your family life and what your daily life was like before the war started.
Well, I'm Estela Chapa, and I was born and raised in Rio Grande City. It's the Upper Valley on the Mexican border. And I was, quite young when the war started. Uh, and I had the three brothers that were in the service and went on into the service. And I lost one of them in World War II at the Battle of Normandy. And we had a pretty good life. Of course, there was a lot of things were rationed, and we didn't have a lot of sugar. Like we didn't have shoes. You had to get a stamp to buy shoes, and I guess gasoline. Of course, there were not too many cars as there are now, but my life was okay because we had everything we needed because I had my grandparents that lived on the ranch, and whatever commodities we could not get at home, we would get them. They would raise their own crops and vegetable gardens and what have you. And of course, I was going to school. In fact, I graduated in 1945, which was right about after the war, or when 45, yes. And it was uh, it was fine, Lorna. We didn't have TVs, but whatever we learned what was going on at the European theater and the Pacific theater when we went to the movies, and they would give us the all the news. They had reruns. They had of the what was going on, everything that was happening, like the Holocaust and all these things that were happening that which were dreadful.
Yes, Um, and what about your school years? Where did you go to school?
I went to the convent. It was the Immaculate Conception Church, school in Rebecca City. And then I went to what we called, Rebecca City High School. There was only one high school. And it was it was very nice school. We had was a small school. Was kind of very big. My graduating class was only 84, and half of the boys had already gone out to the service. So we had a prom with no boys, very few boys.
Uh, was your school segregated? I mean, there was only one high school in the
We
town.
had
I
only
guess it
one
was
high school.
only
No,
so
it
there
was
were
not segregated, and it was predominantly Mexican Americans. We
because
had,
it's on the border.
yeah, because of the border. We did have some kids that came whose parents were either in the immigration officers or border patrols or the oil field workers, but mostly uh, it was Mexican Americans, and we had, of course, we learned to speak both languages by the time. Well, I did, but before I went to school, because I had my friends across the street that spoke English and we spoke Spanish, so we interchanged there. So I could speak both languages before I was about 3 to 4.
Mostly Anglo kids, aside from the Mexican children, it was mostly Anglo or
The only way Anglo,
all
yeah,
Anglo.
we only had Anglo and Mexican Americans. We didn't have. I think there was a couple of families that were Japanese.
Hmm.
They were Japanese, but when the war started, I believe they were rounded up or something, and they took them somewhere. I don't know where, but
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories about what they did to the Japanese Americans.
well, that's they. I was like I said, I was young and we didn't. But they were farmers there, I believe. But then they came back after the war, and they did come back and continue whatever they were doing.
And what was school like? The actual school experience, going to classes and everything.
Oh, it was wonderful. We looked forward to go to school. We would meet with the friends there, would play. We had um, well, at the convent, it was a little more rigid. They were stricter. But at the high school, I mean, not stricter, but they had more like discipline. They couldn't. You had to get up. The sisters, every time somebody walked into the room, we had to get up and say good morning and good afternoon. Well, in high school we didn't have to do that, and but we had very nice teachers, and I remember most of my teachers. Oh, one of them went on, and our PE teacher, and she was also our algebra teacher when I was a freshman. She went on and became a nun, and she was just I never forget her. Then we had another one, Olive in the Hosa, which she was her social studies teacher, and Florence Baker was her science teacher and math teacher, and those three I met. Where I had another one was Mrs. Fitzpatrick, which we resented her because we were going to she was going to teach us French, and she passed away a week before. She drowned actually while duck hunting with her husband, and that was the last of my French class that we never did get to start our French lessons. But it was fun. We had a lot of fun at school. We played volleyball, basketball, and baseball, and I participated in everything. And we had a little bit of gymnastics. Not too much, but we did have a little bit of gymnastics in high school. And we had school plays, and we had. I was in I was fortunate to get the leading part of the senior play, and I was Irma, and it was a beautiful play, and I remember my character's name was Irma, and it was the Tiger's Eye was the name of the play, and it was very very nice. But unfortunately, there's only one or two of those of, of the ones who were in the play that are still living. The others have passed away. But I had fun at school. But like I said, we look forward to going to school. That's because we didn't have, well, there was no TV. We had radios. We had movies, but during the week there were silent movies, and we had to read. I guess that's when we had to read, learn how to read better because we had to read the captions below the pictures because uh, that was it. There was no, so they had a little music for the background, but uh, no dialogue. So we really had, when we went on Saturdays and we got in free. Uh, my poor uncle, he was the owner of the only theater. Well, I was born there. Later on, they had another one. And he gave us a free admission, popcorn, and a drink. So it was a cousin of my father, so we didn't have to pay, and we really enjoyed going to the movies every Saturday. For they showed the same movie for about 2 3 days. So there was one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and then that Sunday movie would go for about 4 days, and then they would start with the other one that showed on Saturdays. But all in all, we did have a skating rink would come over once a year during the Christmas holiday. We did not have one there. So I learned how to skate.
Ice skating or roller
No,
skating?
roller skating. No, we did not have ice skating. We had roller skating. But they only came like once a year, and it stayed for about maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I don't recall. And boy, that was the big thing. And Saturday, we spent all day Saturday there. And they didn't have, the shoe type of skates. They had the ones that you clip to your shoe.
Like the metal ones.
Oops. But all in all, of course, I spent a lot of time at the ranch. And I loved horseback riding. That's why I'm still suffering from my legs from falling from the horse. But we did a lot of horseback riding. And in fact, in the year I graduated from high school, it was 46, not 45, I was selected the rodeo queen. And boy, staying on a horse for 3 days was no fun. From 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night.
Ooh, but your rear end hurt.
It was fun, but it was tough. But for the war itself, like when we were for the homemaking classes, and I'm talking about the senior high. Of course, we only had 11. We went for 11 grades. We graduated from the 11th grade. I remember so well that we baked peanut butter bread. And those were distributed to the kids because we had to take our own lunch. We could not, they didn't have cafeteria. If you wanted to eat, you would take your lunch. There was a little place called Cato's. She used to sell tacos and have burgers. But you get 3 tacos and French fries and a Coke. I think it was like 15 or 25 cents. Now you won't get that anymore. But it was hard because, especially when I was a freshman, unless you knew a junior or senior boys that they would buy things for you, you'd have to stay in line. You'd be late for class because it was about a block away from school. So we rather take our sandwich, and that's the way it was. And we did have a side. The boys at the schools, even in the elementary and the secondary, the boys had one side and the girls had another side of the school. Like we could not be on the side. If a girl was caught on the side of the boys, she was punished, or the boys on the side of the girls. They would, like, the boys would be on the west side, the girls would be on the east side. And that's where we went out to recess, that they called it, or lunch, during the lunch period. If it was raining, we'd eat in the cafeteria, in the auditorium. And it was a very small one. But the boys were not allowed to. And another thing, we were not allowed to speak Spanish in school. We would be punished.
I've heard.
And we would speak Spanish, but we spoke anyway. And not because most of the teachers knew Spanish, the Anglo teachers, but still, there was just one of the rules that you were not to speak Spanish. And but anyway, everybody, all the little Anglo kids spoke Spanish. They spoke better Spanish than we did sometimes. They picked it up right away because they would, best friends, and that have all the neighbors and everybody else spoke Spanish. So
I think that has to do with some prejudices that they wouldn't allow you to speak Spanish in class.
I imagine that was the reason that we were not allowed to speak, because evidently everybody knew what we were talking about. And maybe there was 1 or 2 teachers that would come from, another part of the United States that would not, out of Texas, that didn't speak the language, but still, all the others, the principal, the superintendent, everybody knew Spanish. Well, the superintendent was, the one time was, yeah, she did know Spanish, Mrs. Scott, yes. But uh, I don't know. I really don't know the reason why we were not allowed. I could see in a place where the people do not know the language. But when most of the kids could speak the language, I do not see why.
What
And
was it? Did all the other kids? I mean, I know that you knew before you went to school. You knew English and Spanish. Did they? Did most of the other kids know both languages before they went?
most of them did. Most of them.
Most of them. So it wasn't
Uh,
hard for them to speak only English in class when they
no,
first went.
no, it wasn't. And another thing, we had a fort there, Fort Ringo, where the school plant is now. And we had, it was a cavalry. Uh, and we used like that. We had a glee club in school, and we'd go sing to the soldiers there, especially the ones that were sick, or the ones that were brought in that had been hurt during the war, you know, and they would bring them there to, for convalescence, and we would go over and sing to them, you know, the high school glee club. Um, well, we didn't have a USO to go there, but we were the 14, 15, 16-year olds going to sing to the soldiers. And uh, we also knitted, we were taught in homemaking classes to knit because my mother had already taught me, and we knitted sweaters for them. We had like an assembly line. Somebody would knit the sleeves and the others the back part and the others the front, and I was so tired of that army green because that's the only yarn we knitted. Sweaters and vests. But it was a lot of fun. But I really have a very good uh, memories of my early years in school.
Nothing really terrible or anything. How old were you when your brother died?
I was 16 because he died in 45. He was killed in 45 or 44. Right after, it was about a couple of months before the war ended. And it ended in 45, didn't it? I believe it did. And I was 16 when I graduated. See, I was 16 and 45, but I was 17 in June. So it's, when I still say I was 16 when I graduated from high school. But I turned 17 in June. And but it was terrible because my mother really took it very hard. Because, see, he was 2 years older than me. Yeah, 2 years, 18. See, I was 16 and we were very close. He was going to be 18. And he was 18 on the way over. He turned 18 when he was crossing. He had been in England, or I guess in Europe, for 3 months when he was killed. Because he was right at the very end that they sent him. And so it was sad seeing my mother. And then she had another son that was in the Philippines, my oldest brother. And he was hurt. He was wounded. He had one of those metal plates. He was with the engineer department that, I don't know, but something happened to him. He got one of those shrapnels around, I believe that's what they call them, that embedded in his head. So he had to have surgery. And he had a metal plate put on his head. And in fact, later on when he came home, like he couldn't be out in the sun too much because that thing would get hot. And then I had another brother, but he was in England. And we really had, um, we heard from him quite often. He was always on leave. But my father used to say, I wonder what he is now, because he would ride as a private, and then another time he'd be a corporal. I think he got to be a sergeant, and he'd come back to be a corporal. I think they demoted him because he stayed longer because he never did see any action. It was here I lost one brother, the other one saw action, and this one was a middle one. He did not see action at all. All he wrote about was seeing the Queen riding and the parades and whatever. He was in England, but but my father used to make fun of him later on when he came because we never knew what he was going to be. He never came home early. They gave him those weekend leaves, and I guess he stayed longer than he was supposed to. But all in all, I had a very good life, in my early years, and I told you we were 9.
I'm sorry?
We were 10 in our family.
Right, 10 children.
10 children. Right now we're 5 girls. All the girls, we were 5 boys and 5 girls.
Right down the middle.
And actually 6 girls. I gave you the names and the ones. There were 6 girls, I guess. We were 11. Well, we hardly counted the little one because she died when she was a year old.
Right.
So we forget about her. See, and but now the 5 girls are living, and 2 boys.
So the one died in the war.
And the oldest died at age 54, heart failure. The one that had the middle, and another one died at age 52.
And what was the oldest one was it can't remember the names now.
Santiago. And Julian, he's the one that's still living. He's the one that never came, that never wrote the same.
He was the lucky one.
He was the lucky one. Yeah, he's still he's 79 now, I think, or 78, something like that. And you look at him, he doesn't look over 50.
Very lucky.
He looks older than his son.
Mm-hmm. Did you work while you were in school?
Well, after school, we used to stop at the bank. We used to work at the bank and rolled pennies. My birth. We would put the little pennies in rolls, $1 worth of pennies and nickels. We had $2 worth. They didn't have machines, so we rolled them by hands. And I tell you, and then we did that in the summer too. And we just worked in that. It was we had about 3 of my friends that we did that. We would go after school and in the summer.
So didn't you say the president of the bank or?
Yeah, he was
your friend's
father's friend.
Your father's friend.
So he was able to. He gave us a job, or I think he paid us like 25 or 50 cents a week. I don't know. I don't think we earned too much.
A lot less.
But it was fun. It was fun, just doing that.
And I think you told me you found some way to make it easier to roll your pennies or whatever, and everybody started using
Oh yes, I marked. First I got the pennies. I got the piece of paper, and I marked at the beginning of the first penny. But I counted 100 pennies, and then I was it 100 or 50? I got it by 50s. Gosh, now I forget, but I know I marked one side to the other, and then you knew right away that's how many pennies were there. We didn't have to count them, and it was a lot of. It was fun, but I come to think of no, it was 100 pennies. Because the rolls were about this big. That would be 50. It was 100, but I was able to get that. I used my Mexican ingenuity at that time, but it worked. It worked, and because we had to measure them, of course, we used a ruler, and we would make a line from the beginning to the end, and it would just stack them there, and it worked.
And how about after high school? Did you attend college? Where was it?
I didn't go to college the first year, but I started going it was a junior college, Pan American University. And I went there. I stayed with my sister in McAllen. I think I mentioned that. Mm-hmm. Because my father did not want I wanted to come to university because I had some friends that would come in here. But he wouldn't let me, not even to Kingsville. Some of the others were going to A&I. So I started going to Pan American. I started it was a junior college then. Just went to 2 years. And all the ones that finished junior college would come to the university. But I didn't. I stayed at the junior college, and then it became the 4-year school. So I graduated from there. But I did graduate work here at the university. And later on, because I was older then. And then over in San Marcos, Southwest Texas. Mm-hmm. And I really was going to go on for pharmacy. So I like science a lot. But I winded up as a teacher. So I had enough hours, to graduate. So I got a secondary and an elementary certificate, both. And so it worked fine because this way, through my career, I worked in high school, but then I was taught elementary. And I'm glad I did that. But I had fun when my career, my school years. Of course, I had to stay with my sister, but she was cool. She was married.
You mentioned your dad didn't want you to go to schools. He just didn't agree with.
He didn't want me to
girls?
Go off. No, he didn't want girls to go off by themselves. It was just one of those.
Right.
Not that he didn't want. I wanted to go to school, and I was in the top 10. I'm not bragging, and he knew that I could do it. You see, but things had happened that girls had come to, especially A&I, and they had come home at the end of the semester, and they were either pregnant or so on, and so he did not. He was afraid that would happen to his little girl, one of his little girls. But I was the only one that went to college because my younger sister did not want to go. She said she did not want to go to spend. She had had enough schooling. She did not want to go. And my 3 other sisters married right after they got out of high school. So they didn't.
But none of the boys attended college?
Yes, my youngest brother.
Your youngest?
Yeah, he went to Pan American also. Because it's only 40 miles away from my hometown. So he didn't mind, my father didn't mind me going there because he was right there. See, he could come and see me anytime he wanted to.
Make sure you weren't doing anything wrong. You do have to keep a close eye on those kids, those college kids. Did you encounter any difficulties in college? Nothing?
It was not as bad as it is now. Well, if there were any drugs or anything, I wasn't aware of it. See, I did. I don't know if I mentioned that I tried smoking. I never did smoke. Excuse me. Our PE teacher, one of the girls after PE, that same teacher that became a nun, had a cigarette, and right after class, she took it to the restroom. So I was about the 10th or 11th in line. I never did even get to get a puff, and I was punished for something I didn't do. She caught us before they got through sharing the. Oh, excuse me.
It's okay. Just take a drink. Mm. What do you recall about the time when the war started?
Oh, I recall a lot of people crying, a lot of the mothers and parents, didn't want to see the kids when they started drafting. See, and then their number would come up. And it was so funny that here was this army camp. And I recall, like I said, I was young, but I still recall very clearly that, you know, nice girls didn't run around with soldiers. They would call them those mochos. I don't know what that was. Uh, a mocho means something that's cut off. And they, a nice girl just did not run around with soldiers. It was a no-no because they didn't know who they were and they didn't know they were out, they may be married, they didn't know because they would come to they would assign there. But then after the war started, and oh gosh, nice girls could go with soldiers. And of course, I never did. I was young, so I never did date it. But they said, well, it was okay to date soldiers because after all, their own children were going to be soldiers too. But there were a lot of people felt anytime somebody was going to leave a timber, and especially when they send this little telegram saying so and so has been reported missing, or he's lost in action, or he's been killed, or he's been wounded. I mean, the whole town would get together because it was a small town, and you knew just everybody. And I remember that we had a Arcadio Canales was his name, and he was a senior and I was a junior, and he left right after. In fact, he was the ones that left after they just went on and they knew they were going to be sent forth. But the minute they turned 18, they went and registered because they knew they were going to be drafted, and this way they could pick whatever they wanted to join, the Army or the Air Force or the Marines, and he joined the Navy. And I think he was the first one or the second one that was killed from my hometown. And he was sad because you knew the people, you knew everybody. And so he was, uh, and then there was another one, like Arcadio Salinas was another one. His name was Arcadio too. That was also killed. Well, there were a number of us. One of my best friends, Homero Guerra, was uh, he was a prisoner for about 3 years. But he came home and he's still living. He married. In fact, he's remarried because his first wife died. But some were lucky and some were not. But it was sad because it was just, uh, you know, people they would take it to heart. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Do you think your life was changed at all by World War II? I know you obviously didn't serve, but seeing that your brother served and everything.
Well, it was sad for my parents because after my brothers came home and one of them didn't, my mother was always, it was hard for her. It was very, very hard for her. She took it very hard, but then she just had to get used to it. And it was, yeah, and one of the traits of it, there were things that began to happen, and more at the time, more of at one time, um, the kids that graduated from high school, very few of them went to college. Some of them couldn't afford it, and the ones that could afford it probably didn't have the knowledge or something. But after the war, a lot of our soldiers that came back, they took advantage of the GI Bill of rights, and they went out to school and at the, you know, for a better life. It really helped a lot.
It's actually a positive thing for some.
It was a positive thing for some. For some of them, they took advantage of it. And some of them, even though they came back, they didn't take advantage of it. But it was good, you know. And they were able to, and they would choose the college they wanted to go to. My husband went to St. Mary's, and of course he left also when he was 18 because he wanted to join the army. He didn't want to be drafted. He wanted to give. So of course he did graduate, and then went, and he went to St. Mary's at San Antonio. After that, at this DBA degree.
What was your first full-time job after you finished school?
Well, when I was in school, I used to work at the FHA, Farmers Home Administration, and in the summer, and then I was a clerk typist. But then my full time, well, I was started teaching, earning about $80 a month, I think, or 60. Well, the teachers are still not paid too much. But at that time, I made more working for the FHA than I did teaching. See, that's
It's funny you have to get an education for something like that, and
yeah,
you're not making anything to.
yeah. Well, but it pays. Now I'm retired. I'm getting my retirement, so it's okay. But after 30-some years, because see, I worked 30 years, but I substituted about 8 years when I was married because my husband had wanted to teach.
You want to stay at home with the children, or?
I wanted to stay on and raise kids. And, well, very few fathers worked then. But I started teaching when my baby was in the, he was, well, he almost got his PhD from kinder because he started going before he was 3.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was in first grade.
That's when you got your first teaching job?
Uh-huh.
So you finished school at the university down in Rio Grande City?
No, Edinburgh.
It was in Edinburgh. Okay.
Edinburgh, Texas.
And then
I was 23 when I married.
had you already done some work at some master?
No, I had worked in the FHA
Right.
before I married.
But you hadn't done any schooling up here at UT yet, the graduate school?
No, I went to graduate school after I married.
After you married?
Yeah. I had a little time I did. And then first we had, when my husband was assistant superintendent, they used to have some classes that would be, they were this, night classes. People from the university went to Rio Grande City. And so I took advantage of that. And he enrolled me because they needed to meet a certain quota, and sometimes some of people, they didn't have enough, so he enrolled me to, to take those, and I don't mind it because I took like new math, and that helped my kids when they would go to school. I would help them with that new math. And I took English. They would teach English classes, and it was very nice. Then when I came here, I went. After we moved over here, I did some more master's work, but I didn't get a master's. And also, so I went to Pan American in the evenings. I wanted to take an art class. I just decided I thought I was going to do it. So I Saturdays and my kids were already, well, they were at school, And I had a full-time maid, which was, I didn't have to do much. That's nice. It was wonderful to be able to leave the kids in good hands and knew they were fed and clothed and everything. So I went on and I took some extra uh, classes that I just decided I wanted to take. This is what I was teaching. I I just I wanted to take something else.
That's good. You mentioned something about new math. I've heard of that before, but I don't understand.
Well, it was, I don't remember too much of it now, but it was a different type of math that came. Somebody decided they needed to, and they were teaching it there, so I decided to take it to help. I was already teaching English in high school, but I wanted to take that math just for my kids to help them, and it was really. Gosh, do you know that I could not remember? It's been so long. Remember, I graduated 50 years ago, like 55.
Oh, yes.
But I don't recall exactly, but it was a little different.
And was it just like arithmetic
It was
differences?
arithmetic, but you would, like, what I could recall, well, like you have a 24, and you would say the digit 24, it was two tens plus 4
Right.
equals 24. I recall that. Sometimes you would put it in parentheses. Why they did that is, I don't know. But instead of writing 356 or something like that, they say 300 plus 50 plus 6. And this is something that I barely recall. But why they divided that is beyond me. And they call it new math. I don't know. I don't recall.
Seems pretty obvious, but
Yeah.
um, do you think you ever come across any blatant prejudices against Mexican Americans or Mexicans and looking for a job or while you had your job as a teacher?
Excuse me. No, well, we did have, after I married, before I married, we traveled a lot after we married. And before, we never had any problems but one time, my husband was going to do some work for 6 weeks in San Marcos, and we were just married. I didn't have the kids, and my husband is very fair, but his brother is not. And we came over, and his brother was going to do some work too. And we went to this apartment and for rent, and the lady was willing to rent the apartment to Robert. That's my husband. And then he beckoned to his brother to come over so they could sign the lease. And when the lady saw his brother, he said, "I'm sorry, but we don't rent to Mexicans." And this was in San Marcos, Texas, Southwest. Oh, my husband was so mad at that woman. And because it was not her fault, that she was afraid that the rest of the renters would leave her. Anyway, he went to the dean of the college and he told me, he said, "Well, they gave us, we didn't even pay rent. They let us stay where the football players used to say." Then we had like I don't know how many cots there, 16 showers. We only used one. I was not going to claim that many showers. But we were there 6 weeks only. That's the only real. And then another one, when I came to Austin, and I had sent my picture in, and the personnel director at AISD was looking at my picture. And he looked just like one of my father's only brother. Because my father's brother was short. He had blue eyes and sort of blondish hair. And he was looking at my picture and I walked in. And he said, "Oh, come in." He said, "Oh, you're Mexican." He just went like that. I don't think he meant it in any, because I didn't look at my, I was too light in my picture, I guess. And I looked at him. Here I was applying for a job. And he said, "Oh, you're a Mexican." And I said, "And you look like my father's brother." I don't know why I said that. Here I was in a new district trying to get a job. And he said, "So much for the introduction. Sit down." And he smiled. I got the job right away. I, I don't think he meant it. I don't know what way he meant it.
But just 1 second, me. You're gonna have to switch that over. I knew that was gonna happen. It's because the tapes are only 45 minutes long, I think, on each side. Of course. You get to switch it real quick. A little bit up.
Oh.
Go ahead.
But what happened, I believe, he could not relate my face with the picture that he was seeing. And, but he was very nice. I would meet in different, functions for the school. Sometimes he'd see us and he'd say, "Oh, there's my niece." And he'd call me. So actually, I don't know. Maybe it's because I had never had any, I'd never been, they call, nobody had done anything to me to feel that they're racist or anything, or prejudice. So maybe that's why I feel that he didn't mean it in a racial thing, but I don't know.
It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like it since he was so friendly with you.
Yeah, he
got
was.
the job. So.
But I had never gone through any prejudices. Well, like in my whole town, 99.5% were Mexican Americans. I could have prejudice.
Exactly. And what do you attribute your success to? Your success, I guess, in work.
Hard work, dedication, devotion, getting up at 4:30 in the morning or 5 and to feed my boy, especially when I came here. When I was home, it was great. Everything was peaches and cream because over there we could get people to help you. And in fact, my neighbors accused me of overpaying my girl, and I was paying her $10 a live at home maid, $10 a week. Live at home, and I was overpaying her. They paid 5 and 6. And of course, I bought her groceries and everything to take home as she went home. So I kept her until she raised my boys. I mean, they just, but as like I said, how devotion, hard working, and I was hardly absent. When I retired, I lost 101 days because I couldn't. They don't pay in this district, and of course, I had lost out because every year you lose a certain amount. But I was hardly absent. I would be so sick, but I would still go to school, and headaches and stuff like that. But that's just dedication. Is to me that's the main thing.
What do you mean lost? You lost 101 days? I don't understand.
See, you accumulate so many days. Mm-hmm. They give you so many for sick leave, so many for personal leave.
Right.
And once in a while, I would take the last part of when I knew I was going to retire then I started taking more days sick. I would be sick. But you accumulate those days. So at the end, and I had, I had about over 200 one day. Then you lose some, so you would accumulate some. And we had this teacher that was very sick. She had cancer, and we went over to see if we could give her some of our days so she could stay, but they would not. We just wanted to give her. Three teachers and I went over to the administration building to see if they could use our days so that she could get a check, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away that year. But she was so ill that we wanted to help her.
Mm-hmm.
But we lost those. You just lose them. They don't pay you. The
They
other
don't pay you.
places, they give you credit for so many days you have. But here they don't. And at least they didn't. At that time, I don't know. I've been retired since 1990, so I don't know.
What school did you teach at? Did you teach at just one up here in
I
Austin?
taught in Rio Grande City High School,
Right.
and then I taught at Blackshear School 1 year, and that was a all black school.
That's here in Austin?
Behind Houston Tilson.
Right.
Then I taught at Go Valley Elementary. Taught sixth grade there, bilingual.
Is it called Del Valley Elementary or
Go Valley?
Go Valley.
Go Valley. Govale.
Oh, okay.
And then Molly Dawson. Dawson here at South Off, South First. So I taught in 3 schools here, and 1 in Rio Grande City. And now I'm having fun retired.
What have you done since you've retired?
Well, I belong to the garden club, and I don't have a garden. I belong to the Pan American Round Table. I was the state scholarship chair for 2 years. I belong to the Catholic Daughters, the American. I belong to 2 quilting guilds. One that we meet once a week, 2 at night and 2 in the daytime. And I belong to I go to the Lions Club with my husband. And I do quite a bit of community work too for the church. I was at the advisory board and also the advisory board for the senior citizens. So I kept pretty busy. Then I babysit, and I have a great grandchild, so I babysit with him too. I babysat for my grandchildren. In the summer. I have 5 of them at one time. So I had all the kids during the year, and then I had my 5, ranging from 1 year old to 10. Or the 10-year-old helped a lot. He got tired of reading to the others.
With your own kids, you said that your live-in maid helped out. Do you remember her name? The one that helped out? Or it seems like she would be a big part of your family life.
Aminta was her name, but she was from Mexico.
She was from this.
Yeah, and she would teach. My kids were trying to take Spanish. Well, we moved here when they were in junior high, but she raised them. She practically raised them, because I got her when when the oldest one was about 6 months.
And you have 2 boys, right?
I had 2 boys. One is the oldest is he's with the budget analyst for the controller's office, charging all the budgets from Texas. And the other is a senior vice president in commerce back. That's my baby.
And their names?
Ricardo's the baby, and Roberto Jr. is the oldest. They both graduated from UT, and their wives did too.
I've already talked some about what it was like being a Mexican American. What about being a woman during time of the war? Was it any different for you? You think that anywhere?
Well, the women's lib was not in motion yet.
Right.
We didn't have, I mean, a woman was a woman. She was delicate. She was, you know, oh, we could wear pants to school. I've forgotten to tell you. No, for PE, we had, we had this, well, they were called shorts, but they came down. They were actually walking shorts. And then they had an elastic. Boy, that thing really hurts. It would bang your leg. But pants, I did wear my brother's pants when I went to the ranch to ride the horse. But that was at the ranch. But it was, women who just did wear pants. Pants were for men. I still have my oldest sister. She will not wear a pair of pants, no matter how cold it is.
Now she won't.
No.
Try. Okay.
But a woman, there was no such thing as women's lib. Women with girls were very dainty. They were very feminine. There was no. And that's how it was. A woman's place was at home. Take care of the children and the food and the man. I mean, the food and table. But things changed. After the war, everything changed. But especially when we had so many women that joined the
workforce
services, the Air Force, and well, the wax and the waves and the. But before that,
Is this? What does? Okay. Did you serve in any civilian conservation corps? What that is?
Well, I imagine that was like helping in those, in camps where they sell stuff, or to me, that's what it is, or in factories. No, we didn't have any at all. I don't think my father was so strict. I don't think he would have let me go.
So what you did to help the men in the services, you just knit the sweaters and everything.
We knitted the sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then we did write letters in our English classes, but we never knew where the letters went to, because we would write the letters, and then the teacher would write the name of the soldier who they would go to.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had a system where they would send all these letters, and then they would, and we just talked about what we were doing, like going to a ranch and horseback riding, just to make them feel good, or going fishing. We used to go fishing with my father, things like that, and you would mention that. But those letters, she would pick them up in the English class. And sometimes she would read some of the answers. But like I said, I never knew who I wrote to. Mm-hmm. Like pen pals, but.
What you didn't know?
No, I didn't know.
We might have already touched on this a little bit, I'm not real sure, but in your opinion, were there changes in the lives of Mexican Americans in the years or the decades following the war, following World War II?
I believe so, because more of them were able to educate themselves with the help of the GI Bill, both men and women. So I imagine there were changes in that respect. And I guess people began to change. Of course, we still have prejudices,
right,
in certain places, where they still don't allow the Mexican American. Now it's the changes to Hispanics, but especially the ones that don't speak the language. You have a better chance of surviving if you know the language, I guess. But you have some, even in stores, sometimes they have a hard time, like somebody's trying to wait and they don't know the language in some state from Mexico. They come over and try to buy, but I do say that there were a lot of changes after the war because you know they knew more. You know they wanted more. The ones that the have-nots had more because they were able to, with what they had, the experience they had gone through, and they just wanted their lives to change, like the ones that live in the remote areas, like the rural areas, the ranches and everything, and those young men that never, they had not seen anything of the war, of the world. They would, they came home, they wanted to better themselves, and most of them took advantage of it, and they did. So I say that those were good to me, those were changes.
Yeah. And mm, I don't guess there were any racial conflicts there in your community
No.
back then, since they were mostly, it was all mostly Mexican Americans down there.
Yes, and we used to laugh at my mom because there was a lady, and I think I mentioned it to you, Mrs. Bess. I'll never forget. She's she was a geologist wife, and she lived across the street. And we'd come home from school, and my mother would be sitting on our front porch. She and Mrs. Bass would be carrying a conversation. My mother didn't know English. Mrs. Bass did not know Spanish, and they were carrying on like old friends. And they would always sit and they would trade recipes and everything. And it is so funny because, but yet, like I said, there was no prejudice, and I was a good friend of Peggy and Betty Bass. In fact, Peggy was, I don't know if she's still here. She was a homemaker teacher here, Peggy Bass. Mm-hmm. She was younger than I was, but still, we were friends. Now Betty was closer to my age, but uh, I don't know. She's still with the homemaking department at UT.
Oh, she was at UT with that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Here. In fact, 1945, she graduated. Let me see. In about 3 years ago, they celebrated their what 40th high school reunion. I think they had their 40th, and we were invited because my husband was assistant superintendent the schools, and they had it in San Antonio, even though they were from Riverside.
Yeah, that's more people had moved up closer to the San Antonio area, I guess.
Oh yes.
Although most of your family still lives down in Rio Grande City.
Oh right? Yes, they do. The one that has the
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. We have to
hang on 1 second. We're gonna.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I know that one. Okay.
That's his father.
But yeah,
His father graduated from Riverside City with that same class that Eggy, like I tell you, was.
Oh, that's sweet.
And he was the one that invited us to go to that reunion, the 40th reunion.
Sweet. No, we were talking about, I think, your family. Most of them still live down in Rio Grande City.
Yes. Well, one sister lives in McAllen. The same one, she still lives there, the same one that I used to stay with when I was at school. She's still living there. She's a widow now. She left to go to Vegas, and I go with her. But she just had surgery on one knee, and so she's down for a while. I was talking to her this morning, and she said she's trying to recoup. She just had a fracoscopy about a day. It was in and out, day surgery. Mm-hmm. So she said, I'll be up and around and need less than 2 weeks. So fine.
Just somebody to take care of her, I hope.
Oh, yes. And she's got a daughter living there. And
Mm-hmm. It doesn't reach to most. Yeah. Okay, but when did you marry your husband, Robert?
I married him. When did I marry? Oh, gosh. September the 22nd, 1951.
And how long had you known him before you got married to him?
May, June, July, 6 months. I graduated with his brother,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know him.
You graduated high school with his
With
brother?
his brother. But I didn't know him until after the war.
He's older than you, your husband?
Yeah, he is. He's older.
And how did you meet him? Through his brother, or?
No, I invited him. This friend of mine liked him, and she wanted me to invite him to a party. So I did. I invited him. He knew me, but I didn't know him. So I invited him to this. Here I was. There's this friend. Oh, she was in love with him, and so she knew it because she was teaching there, and he was the first year he got out, started teaching in '49, I think it was, and then he was teaching in high school. She was teaching in junior high, but the teachers would get together, and she just wanted to invite him. He didn't pay much attention to her, but anyway, so I called him, and I didn't know who he was, but she gave him his phone number, so I called him, and he said, "Sure, I'll be there." Well, when he got there, because I had my date, he started trying to talk to me, because after all, I had invited. I said, "But I didn't invite you for me. I invited you for her." Well, that was the only time he went out with her. But he started calling me, and I refused to because I knew she liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to make a long story short, I finally gave in, and he kept on pestering me. And we got married in September. This was an Easter party that we had. It was an Easter, not December, Easter. Mm-hmm. And there was an Easter dance, and I invited him. And so, we've been married. It'll be 49 years, September the 27th.
27th or 20? I thought you said 22nd. It was
22nd.
22nd.
On the 27th, my son was born. But that was my second one.
Your second son.
Yeah.
How long were y'all married before you had your first?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
See, I got married in September, and my first boy was born in the November of '52. I married in September for not a year and a half, maybe a year, a couple of months. I married September the 22nd, and my son was born November the 13th of the following, 52. The following. Yeah. But once I was at the lodge one time, and I said, "Oh boy, my anniversary is the 22nd of September, and my baby was born the 27th of September." But that was my baby. My second one said, "Oh, you barely made it." Because I was,
Right. Did you get married in a church?
Oh, yes, of course, in church.
Well, they wouldn't marry you anyway if you were big and pregnant, would they?
Did I show you the picture?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah.
They wouldn't marry you if you were big and pregnant, would they? The Catholic Church?
No, because see, the 22nd to the 27th, that's what, 5 days?
Yeah.
I don't think the priest would have allowed me to put a foot in the church.
Right.
None of those days. I got married at 7 o'clock in the morning.
They still won't do that, though. 7 o'clock in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They never married. I went in an afternoon wedding, but they didn't have enough then. They were pretty strict.
That's odd. Why was it?
Well, it's just
strictly in the morning. They just wanted.
Yeah, a lot of people. I did want a big. We just had a reception at my home. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would get married in the morning, and then the girl went home and she'd sit around and rest, and then they'd have a big dance or something in the evening. Mm-hmm. But I didn't. I told my parents I didn't want to. I just didn't want to spend money on big dances and what have you.
Yeah.
Too much.
I'm sure they appreciated that. And how did the life of your children differ from that of your own?
Well, they had more, I would say, because there are only two. When we were, remember, we were 10.
Right.
But we never lacked for anything. And my father was a very good provider. He was a city commissioner. He was also a farmer and rancher. And we never lacked for food or for clothing or anything. But my boys, being that there were only two, and they well, we traveled more with them. My husband is a retired military also,
Mm-hmm.
and he kept on with the reserves. So he was a commander of the reserve units, and we used to travel with him for the summer camps that he'd go for 2 weeks. He'd go to Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, uh, Fort Sam and San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
They were paid vacations for us. And the boys would just go and they'd have a fun of their life, swimming, and just uh, traveling.
Over the United States, right?
Yes. And then we had television, which we didn't. That Captain Kangaroo got me so tired. Uh, they would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They would be there with the TV on, watching those cartoons. No, I didn't have any of that, but I grew up. There was no TV, and I had never been on a plane, and I thought I did. Well, I did. I had this friend of mine that was taken before I married. That was the only time when I went on this small plane, and I cried so much that I wanted to get down. He was just taking lessons. I didn't want to stay up there. I was afraid. But they went on the plane rides when they were like, well, one was 8 and the other was 6. They're a year and 10 months apart. So you see, they had more, like I said, than I did. Of course, I did travel with my father. They loved to go to Mexico a lot. And we came to San Antonio. But I never did go to, faraway places until after I married.
Faraway places like just other states
Well,
in the U.S. or
Europe, like we went to Europe in 1980, my husband and I.
oh wait, where did you?
Oh, we went to 7 countries. We went to England, France, Germany, um, Austria, Switzerland, Netherlands. Which one was the other one? Italy.
Italy. I was gonna say no, Italy.
Yeah, we went to the Vatican. So we were there 3 days.
Oh, how neat.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go to Venice?
Yes.
I hear it's beautiful.
Oh, we were on the what do you call it?
Those boats?
The canals, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
gondolas.
Yeah, you go down
Look
there.
at this, man. And then, we were there, when we got off, the girls said, our tour guide said, a lot of people don't like to go in the canals because early in the morning, they put all the sewage in those canals, the raw sewage. I said, oh my God, and here I was in there. What if I had fallen in?
Oh.
But it was fun. It was beautiful.
You couldn't smell it? The raw sewage? Oh, that's nice.
Well, if they had told me before, chances are I would have smelled, even if it wasn't there.
Right.
I would have smelled it, I bet. But I'm sure they put something in the boat so that you will not. Well, it was fun. It was something new. I took a lot of pictures. We crossed the North Sea from the Netherlands to back to England. Mm-hmm. It was fun. I was in '84 and then we went.
Is that the only place you've been overseas is Europe?
Europe. Well, I've been to Mexico.
Mexico.
Well, I've never been to South America or Central America. I want to go to Spain. I didn't get to go to Spain. I want to go, but I hate those long airplane trips.
Something like 20 hours or whatever.
Well, from here to New York was 3 hours, and then from New York to Heathrow Airport in England was 7 hours.
Oh, that's it? It's really not that bad.
And I remember they showed Splash on the movies. And then they were showing another one, Cowboy Maybe, on the other. They had two screens.
Uh-huh.
But they fed you about 3 times. They wake you up. You were trying to sleep. They wake you up, feed you. But it was not like the Southwest that they give you peanuts.
Right.
Have you ever been in the Southwest?
I won't.
The peanut flight.
They're good peanuts.
Oh yeah, they're good peanuts.
Talk a little bit about your boys, I guess, Robert and Ricardo.
Robin has 3
They
kids.
were okay. Yeah, we can talk about their children, I guess. You said they both graduated college, right? And they're both pretty successful now.
Yes, they've been successful. Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of my boys. And my oldest grandson is in school. He's working part-time. He goes to school. And he loves to play. He's got a little band. In fact, he was going to play with the South by Southwest.
What's the name of his band?
I don't know where. His name is Ignorance Park, which I don't like the name.
Ignorance?
Ignorance Park. There's the singer is John Walker. Mm-hmm. And my grandson plays the guitar. Aaron something is a drummer. And I don't know who the other one is. I can't think of his name. He's just that 4 in the group, but they were selected to play. I don't know when he said he had played. I haven't seen him. He hasn't told me last night that we're going to play somewhere. But that's part-time. He's got the baby.
Oh,
he's got that. Yeah, he's the one that's has the baby boy. He's cute. And then there's the other one that's is be graduated for Bowie this year. He was playing golf with his dad. He's in the golf team. And then the little girl is going to be a freshman next year. And then the others, my youngest son's 2 kids, are on a cruise with a Bowie group. They went to participate. The young one, he's a freshman. He's in the band. And the junior, which is my little girl, is with the, how do you call the ones that dance?
The drill team?
The drill team.
The Silver Stars at Bowie High School.
That's Silver Stars. Mm-hmm. They went to participate in Orlando, Florida. 9 buses left last Thursday. And they called, I think it was Saturday night. They placed 22 first places.
Wow.
22. And from there, they were going on a cruise. The whole group.
I heard about that nice trip that they were taking this year. Yeah. We didn't do anything that nice when I was in color guard.
Guess who footed the bill?
Grandparents? Yes.
It was only $900 a piece for 10 bags.
It's not bad. It's really not that bad, but I wish I had $900 to go.
That's all we've got. So I'd rather give my kids and buy expensive furniture because my house is lived in. Mm-hmm. My kids come, they play football, they play baseball, they play everything in here. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have that than.
There's no point in having really fancy furniture or anything.
Oh no.
Not when you've got grandkids and great grandkids and.
The great grandkids. I got a crib in my dad there for the great grandkids. I keep him sometimes. Yeah.
What strides do you think that the Mexican Americans have made in the years past?
Strides?
Yeah, I mean...
they come a long ways. but we still have more to go.
But
Especially
there's a big storm
the
coming.
strides,
You all better get the
strides that the Mexican Americans have made now are for the better, especially in the valley. We're getting a lot of people in the high positions now.
How much more do you lack?
Well, I don't have a whole lot of questions left here on my paper. I think we've touched on most everything. What do you think of me called your guy?
I told him like 5:30. By the time we get there, it'll be 5:30. Should we stop her?
Well, I'm not quite done. Let me just say we can wrap things up and then we'll go. We're about done. I think we'll be out of here before the storm starts.
I don't want y'all to. It's going to be very dangerous the next.
Is it real bad? Hail coming in with it, or?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, the strides in the Mexicans are really, I mean, for the better. They've really come a long ways. We've got a lot of professionals, and we have people in. We still haven't had a Mexican American, a governor yet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there sometimes. But we have a lot of people in the legislature, and in politics, doctors, and teacher professionals.
I think maybe that's because the GI Bill when they got.
Well, that helped a lot, and then
set them.
And then the children of those children,
had more
had more opportunities to better themselves.
Seems odd that a war would be the start of anything good, but
oh yeah,
apparently it's true in this case. What problems do you think still need to be resolved? And
want people to be a little more tolerant and more understanding. To have more unity.
Mm-hmm.
We need unity. Sometimes we have even the same cultures. They have this, there's envy, there's jealousy everywhere, no matter what, even among friends or between brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
But we just, that unity really is the key of everything. To be, have more, I'm trying to find a word for it, but families have to be united, definitely. I mean, you have to have that rapport with the families, and when you have that, and then just to be, like I say, tolerant of things, and whatever issues come up, or try to solve them. We solve them in some way that for the better. I think we have elections. The better person maybe not wins, but the other one wins. Why have that grudge? Just keep on going and help that person get ahead. To me, that's the main thing. Because if you're jealous, you're going to lose everything. I mean, you're not going to help anybody, or start talking about this and that. And just try your best and strive and get more educated, because we do have some kids that just refuse to be educated. Mm-hmm. But we still have they have a long ways to go, but we'll get there.
I agree that we have a long ways to go. I hope we'll get there. You think the relationships between the Mexican Americans and Anglos has improved?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of intermarriage.
Mm-hmm.
At first it was hard to accept. I have a sister that married an Anglo. Mm-hmm. And my father and mother were a little hesitant because of the different culture. Oh, but he was a dog. Well, he passed away, but he, a lot of people, some are not accepted. It's just like any other culture. But we have a lot of intermarriage, especially back home. we had a lot of the soldiers that married. Those soldiers that were not liked at first.
Right.
And then they winded up married hometown girls. But there is a lot of alcohol. And just a, a way it is. They accept it. And sometimes, because like probably the Anglo sometimes will not accept the Mexican for a daughter-in-law or something, or a son-in-law. But still, they accept it, and it's permissible.
Do you think the marriage is between the two races?
Oh, we think like I have a cousin that's been married for about 53 years. She married a boy from Commerce, Texas, right here. Well, they've had a beautiful life. They have two beautiful children. Oh, they're grown up. Their grandparents are. I think their great grandparents are. But they just well, it's just like everything. We got some Mexican marriages that don't last. My son divorced after 20 years.
And he was married to another Mexican?
Yes. And he married again. But see, some marriages last, no matter what culture it is.
Right.
Yeah. Or ethnic group.
And what term do you like to describe yourself as? Mexican American? Latin American? Hispanic?
Oh, well, Hispanic involves people from South America, Central America, and Mexico. Now, I'd rather be a Mexican American. Well, I'm just an American, but a Mexican American, to me, best describes me because if I say I'm Hispanic, I may wind up being a Cuban or a Puerto Rican and I'm not. So I'd rather be a Mexican American.
But you're more American, you think, than Mexican American, right? So you were
Yes.
born in Texas.
Well, I was born in Texas. I'm a Texan.
Yeah.
That's the term I'd like to use. I'm a Texan. I'm a Texan from the border.
You have no distinction between Mexican Americans and
Well,
Irish American or whatever.
I have more friends. Among the Anglos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can count them by hand, the Mexican friends that I have from here. I've got more Anglo friends than I have, like this group that I belong to.
Mm-hmm.
They're more Anglos than they are. Right. Yeah. I have a few black friends. Mm-hmm. And there's and I talked with, but to me, there's no distinction. And the reason is because I never had that prejudice with me. I mean, I never did have any racial, what do you call it, Kyles or whatever you call it, that people discrimination. Mm-hmm. I was never discriminated. I don't know why, but
I guess the area you were from just was.
Yeah, to me, the word discrimination did not exist in my hometown.
That must be nice.
Yeah, there was no such thing.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, to me, discrimination is ignorance. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Because the color of your skin has nothing to do with your feelings or who you are. But
what advice do you have for younger generations?
Keep on trudging. Just do your best. Study hard. And be yourselves. Well, accept guidance. That's what I tell my children. Because if people are trying to guide you, they're guiding you the right way, not the wrong way. They tell you something, it's for your own good. Hopefully. Hopefully, yeah. Well, yes. I mean, some kids, let's face it, they don't want to be told what to do. Right. But most of the time, it's just, and be tolerant of your parents or your grandparents, especially if they're getting older. I mean, be understanding, but the most thing is be patient. Because, and you get there. And not don't be in a hurry to grow up. That's what I tell my young kid. I would tell him in school. My little sixth graders would come in with lipstick and eyeshadow, and I think, please don't be in such a hurry to grow up. You're gonna get there before you know it, and then you want to be younger. Said, I wish I were your age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but just accept.
And I wish I was younger than me already. I think that about wraps everything up. I want to get out here before that storm starts. And
Yeah, well, he's
I know your husband's getting all upset about it.
worried for you all that we've been in the middle of hailstorms, and it's no fun.
Yeah, that's fine.